Hello, I'm by the names of Shadia I. I'm going to answer to the following global health interview questions.
Global health seems to be in the news more and more in recent years. Talk about what global health is and why it's important to pay attention to it.
Global health is an area for study, research, and practice that places a priority on improving health and achieving equity in health for all people around the world or worldwide. So it will be important to pay attention to the global health because, firstly, paying much attention on global health will help people to be careful for their health. Also, it will help the researchers for like a certain disease to learn how it develops and seek for the prevention or treatment methods.
Disease can come to us in different ways. Explain the difference between communicable and non-communicable disease.
Communicable diseases are those diseases which are spread from one person to another, either directly through wind or water or indirectly. So, for example, there is AIDS, malaria. Those are communicable diseases, while non-communicable diseases are those diseases which are not spread because they are caused by allergy, long illness, or abnormalities in cell proliferation, or they are inherited, and malnutrition. For example, cancer or heart diseases.
Let's talk about Ebola, since I'm sure most of our viewers have heard a lot about that. What is it? Is it communicable or non-communicable? How do people get it?
Ebola is a rare but deadly virus that causes fever, body itches, and diarrhea, and sometimes bleeding inside and outside the body. Ebola is a communicable disease because it can be transmitted from one person to another. It is spread from one person to another through skin contact or bodily fluids of an infected animal like monkey, chimp, or fruit bat. In addition, you can get Ebola through caring for sick people or burying someone who has died from the disease. Also, someone can get it through like touching contaminated needles or surfaces.
What would raise a person's risk of getting Ebola?
A person's risk of getting Ebola will rise if you conduct animal research like monkeys or fruit bat, or also you can get it from like while you travel to Africa, because Africa has shown that there are some places which, like mostly in West Africa, there are some places which illustrated this disease of Ebola. So also there is provide medical or personal care to those people who are infected. There should be people who are specified in that disease, so that they should provide medical or personal care to them, because it is not done like by everyone. So people who is like specified in that should be the ones to care for those people who are infected. Also prepare people for burial, because those bodies can cause also Ebola. Those dead bodies can cause Ebola. That's why people who are like specified with this disease will be the one to care for those bodies.
So to prevent or at least lessen the chance of getting Ebola, what should people do?
To prevent of like to prevent from Ebola, you should like avoid with the contact with the viruses. Firstly, avoid areas of known outbreaks like Africa, because Africa has shown those evidence that it's mostly in West Africa that it's have those evidences of Ebola. So you should like do researches before traveling to Africa. So secondly, wash your hands frequently. Like most of the times you should wash your hands so that to prevent from those viruses. Also avoid bush meat. Those meat from wild animals should be like avoided, so that you can't like get Ebola from those infected animals like monkeys or even fruit bat. Another thing is that you should avoid contact with infected people, because through that contact or even fluids, like you can get Ebola. Another thing, you should follow infection control procedures so that you won't be affected by it. So another thing is that you should not handle remain. So those dead bodies should be like buried by some people who are specialized with that, so that they know how what to use so that they won't be affected. You should not like you should not like handle the remains.
Outbreaks such as the one related to Ebola can generate a lot of rumors and misinformation and even panic about what the disease is, how it is transmitted, and how likely people are to get it. Talk about the need for educating people about facts versus myths.
So there should be trainings about a certain outbreak like Ebola. People who specialized in those kinds of outbreaks teach people about a certain outbreak, myths and facts about it, and how it's transmitted, and also ways to prevent. So normally Ebola is not easily transmitted. In addition, people should know that as the outbreak is visible, also there are some pathogens and even treatments that are being developed to prevent that disease. So there shouldn't be like some myths about those that disease. Also, the specialized people should like teach people or educate people about the facts and myths about the disease. Also, as the fact that Ebola is not transmitted through the air, or it's not an airborne, or people should know like that the virus can be transmitted or through direct contact with the bodily fluids from an infected person or animal or contaminated object. It is not an airborne, and there is no evidence that it will be an airborne.
How about the complications that Ebola raises for the rights of travelers and the responsibilities of governments? Casey Hippox, for example, years from Maine who returned to the States following a trip to West Africa in the fall of 2014, promptly had quarantine-related restrictions throughout the continent, restrictions issued during weekends. Briefly describe the difficulty in balancing individual rights and governmental responsibility.
So the laws of the government won't be followed due to that the individual will be claiming about his or her own rights. For example, if someone wants to travel to West Africa and there is a quarantine like related restriction, in that case there will be misunderstandings, because that person will think that there is no balance like between his or her individual rights and the government responsibility, because there are laws regarding that disease in a certain country, and people should follow them so that they won't be affected with the disease. So it will be a problem, or there will be misunderstandings between the person's individual rights and the government responsibilities.
Let's talk about smoking and tobacco use, which is considered a big world health problem and raises similar issues to Ebola in terms of rights and responsibilities. Just about everyone knows that smoking harms health. What does it do to the body?
Or like in the lungs, or there will be lung damage because someone breathing like not only nicotine but also a variety of additional chemicals, so there will be lung damage. Another thing is that heart disease, as it affects heart, blood vessels and blood cells, there will be heart diseases. Another thing is that fertility problems will arise because some people like females reproductive system will be affected, and it make difficult to get pregnant. So another thing is that smoking cigarettes can weaken a person's immune system, making them more susceptible to the illness.
What about secondhand smoke? Explain what that is and how it affects people.
Secondhand smoke is a mixture of smoke that comes from the burning of cigarettes, cigar, or pipe, and the smoke breathed out by the smoker. So it affects the people because it leads to the lung cancer, or in people who have never smoked, it leads to the heart diseases. It also causes breathing problems, and mothers who breathe secondhand smoke while pregnant are more likely to have babies with low birth weight.
People
So it is very strong, and tobacco products certain they like contain the addictive drug called nicotine, as well as many other toxic chemicals. And substance abuse is when you take drugs that are not legal, but many people with substance abuse problems are able to quit or can change their unhealthy behaviors. So it's not a substance abuse, because substance abuse can be quitted, but tobacco is an addictive drug. So thank you for following me.